Good morning, folks. So today, what I wanted to talk about is NetApp's vision and what we're seeing in the marketplace. And it's really around liberating your data. We're seeing a lot of activity and discussion among our customers, but also in the industry around data mobility and being agile in the IT infrastructure. And of those challenges that we're seeing, the challenges that we're seeing among our customers and in the industry really can be summarized into three main categories. First is responsiveness, and that is IT is being tasked these days with finding innovative ways to meet dynamic business demands. Business is moving at pretty much at the speed of light these days, and IT is needing to respond faster and more efficiently to those needs than they've ever had to do before. At the same time, they're being tasked with control of the data and to be the steward of the organization's data no matter where it lives and how long it's going to live for the organization's needs. And lastly, it's choice. The IT organization is looking to choose the resources that works best for your business, and oftentimes they're being pushed to do those type of things based upon end users' frustration and application or frustration around responsiveness of the IT organization. So sometimes choice is being thrust upon the IT organization, but other times the IT organization today we're finding is trying to find the right resources and find the right technologies that work best in the business. And we're all finding that the opportunity is really in the cloud. Now the question is, how do I best leverage that opportunity? The cloud is compelling in certain use cases. We're finding that being able to leverage any resource, no matter whether it's in the data center or out of a public cloud, brings innovation necessary to fully realize the value and needs of the business. And really, in short, what we're finding is that a hybrid cloud model is probably going to be the dominating model for the foreseeable future. And the fundamental trend is really trying to give IT a dial that they can turn to determine where their data is residing and their applications are residing at any given time. Some cases that data may force the dial to be turned all the way private, where everything has to reside in the data center. Others, we have other customers that are leveraging a combination of private cloud and cloud service providers. They're finding a mix of that as a proper balance and blend between the data requirements and also their application needs. Others are leveraging a balance of hyperscaler cloud providers like Amazon, Microsoft, IBM to leverage the dynamic capabilities in that environment with the ability to move data in that area. But there are some challenges when we start to mix these into the environment. Data itself has unique requirements. One of those challenges is around making sure the data is residing in a proper location based upon perhaps regulatory regulations. Some regulations require it to be lock and key and secured at all times, which means oftentimes that data resides in the private cloud within your own data center. Other times that may be there may be flexibility around putting things out into the cloud in a cloud service provider or in a hyperscaler. Or you also have regulations around how long data has to live, which makes perhaps keeping in the data center a bit cumbersome and a bit costly because of the gear that you have to do around that. One of those examples is typically in healthcare, where the dictates for patient data, for example, is typically life plus 7 years. So determining data being kept around for that long of a period of time, keeping that type of data stored in a central data center or even multiple data centers often becomes a daunting challenge, which is where then the cloud tends to come more into play, because I have more flexibility, more agility, and ability to expand that as I need to see fit. At the same time, IT is also tasked with being the steward of the data. They have to secure it. They have to guarantee the performance on it typically. They're usually bashed when things go slow. I've worked in IT for a number of years before going into the vendor side, and oftentimes I'm dealing with end users that are always saying that this is too slow. I'm not getting enough performance out of that. So you're always trying to tweak the infrastructure, trying to make sure that the data is ready and available at all times at a speed that is necessary to serve the application and user needs. You also have to protect it and back it up, and also ensure its availability. So regardless of where that data resides, IT often becomes the main steward or responsibility around ensuring the integrity of the data, ensuring the availability of that data. The problem we have with that, though, is currently when we look at putting data, say, in Amazon, or we look at going to a cloud service provider and putting it onto perhaps their particular system, that data becomes isolated silos. The data is not compatible. This would be kind of the equivalent of my putting, say, example, photos into iCloud, and when I go to retrieve them, I get back a completely different format than what I put in. So I can't easily move that content from the data provider where I've placed it to perhaps another data provider that is now a more beneficial service to the business. And moving that data between those silos becomes very cumbersome. One of the examples I tend to use is, I think of the data as being an elephant and trying to get an elephant to move around. Or the other one that you could also look at is oftentimes the size of data can be like turning a battleship. It takes a long time, and it's a daunting challenge on moving that data from one location to the other. So efficiencies around how to handle that is always a challenge, and it gets even more cumbersome as I have to get multiple either hyperscalers in the mix or cloud service providers involved as well. So what's really needed, and what NetApp is working in our products toward, and this is our vision that we see, is making it easier for our customers to be able to move data between these particular clouds. And that is what the data fabric comes into play. The data fabric is really designed so that it is easy to move that data where it makes sense for the business. It's easy to move it from private cloud to hyperscaler, hyperscaler back to private, hyperscaler to cloud service, or cloud service to private cloud, or however you want to turn that dial that we talked about at the beginning, in between a blend between private and public cloud. This really is a vision, and this is really what we're working our products toward. And we have solutions today that facilitate this, that allows our customers to actually move the data between that strategy as they see it's fit for their particular business case. So what does the data fabric do? It's really creating freedom, mobility, and speed to allow the IT organization to meet the requirements of a dynamic business environment today. This allows us to eliminate those silos between the service cloud providers, hyperscalers, and the internal data center, and give us the ability to move data where it needs to be residing based upon our business requirements and business needs. And it really allows our technology to allowing our customers to realize that full potential of a hybrid cloud that allows them to address their business customers' needs and be dynamic to the organization so that they're not the detriment to speed of business or speed of service in the organization. So a very brief overview of our vision, where we're moving toward with our services and technologies, and the intention now is to where do we go next? So Kim, I'm not sure if we have any questions on the line at this time, but we'll open up to questions and be happy to discuss further.
Yes, actually, thank you so much, Ken. There are a couple of questions. One's a little bit longer, so I'm just going to paraphrase. Could you provide a couple of use cases on the data fabric's impact on mobility? I think they're looking for a little bit of specificity on implementation.
Sure, great question. So one of the examples on this is we have a couple of customers today. One of them is ING Direct, that is using the cloud, a hybrid cloud environment with NetApp for their DevOps. Is actually allowing them to accelerate their IT projects to where they have reduced the time to market by months. They've actually sliced, if I recall right, it's usually 4 to 5 months off of their current cycle. In some cases, it's been even more dramatic. But by moving DevOps between a hybrid cloud environment, they're able to take advantage of when they need to spin something up quickly and get the data there, but at the same time be able to retrieve that data back. They're not isolated within the hyperscale cloud environment to keep that data there and have to worry about how to get that back. They can easily move it back into their private cloud as they need to. One of the other examples Blackline and Suncorp have eliminated entire data centers by moving disaster recovery to the cloud. We're seeing a lot of activity right now around backup and DR, leveraging the cloud environment as that example. The thing about DR, though, a lot of customers today are thinking, well, I'm going to go to the cloud and do DR there. The challenge you're going to have is if I ever have to go there and actually run DR there, then how do I synchronize that data back? And without the data fabric capabilities and that flow of data freely between the two environments, I have a bigger challenge on once I go to the DR at the cloud, I'm going to have a bigger challenge around moving that data back very quickly to be able to reflow back into my primary center. And the likelihood is without the concept of a data fabric ability to move that data freely that NetApp's providing, our customers are finding that they would end up having to basically run at the DR site forever. So that synchronization and moving the data back and forth is really key. And those are a couple examples that our customers are finding today that is making it more nimble for them to be able to do that.
Excellent, thank you. I think that helps put some just teeth to the reality of the use case and the benefits. Just a reminder, if you do have additional questions, you can still post them to the questions pane. Ken, it looks like we have one other question coming in. Again, it's a little bit longer. I'll try and paraphrase, but it's essentially, what does the implementation look like in moving to the data fabric model? How does a business actually get started? What does that take? Can you walk us through that?
Sure. So it'd be nice to say it's easy enough by implementing NetApp technologies. It would be, there is a facet of that is this the way to get started. At the same time, though, you need a strategy around what should be placed in the cloud, and that's really where partnering with cStor and their cloud service offering is really to me the key starting point, where they get started with their consultants, they can bring in our consultants at the same time, and we really sit down with a strategy session around what makes sense on how to determine what goes to the cloud and what should probably stay local. Without that type of a roadmap or blueprint as to a determining factor as to how to move to the cloud, implementing this is not going to, while it'll help move the data, it really is a focused strategy on how I can make the cloud a really valuable tool in my infrastructure. NetApp has done that today. Currently we have about, I think it's about 70% of our current applications are running in some type of cloud service. We actually are doing a mix between hybrid cloud and cloud service providers. But what we actually have within our IT organization is the ability to assess where the application makes sense for it to reside. In some cases, that's on-prem. In other cases, that's in a cloud service provider, and and like I said, we're using also hyperscalers where it makes sense as well. So and that's really what the cloud service offerings that cStor brings to bear with our technologies is to really have a customer get started and get focused on that transition from a siloed traditional approach of IT to a more service-orientated toward the business units that lets the cloud become a tool as opposed to a afterthought or a reactive mode to a customer already ending up putting themselves in the cloud and then expecting IT to help support it and get them backed up and secure and get the data that they need out there to that environment.
Excellent. So it sounds like you have to plan the work and work the plan, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Rather than putting the cart in front of the horse. So looks like we've got time for another question. There is one other question. Are there any limitations to the data or the environment that can be leveraged with the data fabric model?
No, currently the ability for us to replicate that data into the cloud and back is one of the underlying fundamental features of the NetApp technology and our infrastructure. It's one of the large benefits our customers have been using for many years. What we've enabled recently is ability for that data to reside in the cloud with a version of our technology that is sitting in the cloud environment, or in some cases with the cloud service providers, it may be that you're using their data, their NetApp systems that are residing in their data center, or you're doing a colo model that is placing gear in that particular location that is using our replication model. So it's really anything that can run on and reside on a NetApp system today can move to the cloud. Where we start to get into limitations is around, as we get to the cloud, the nature of the cloud is not a SAN versus NAS environment in that respect. It really is now a data connection environment from for example, from Amazon compute layer into the storage layer, but we insert our value in there, and you're running through that to make that data mobile and back and forth. So it gives us some flexibility from that end by leveraging it. So it's not a and when we get into cloud provider, the other limitation we run into is the capacity level of that layer, which gets back to the strategy of, do I really want everything residing in the cloud versus maybe I have multiple instances running in the cloud to address certain capacity for certain applications that are running there. So again, that gets back to that assessment, gets back to that planning model, and really determining what makes sense, and what would make sense based on what data is going to go there.
Great, thank you.